When did someone you trusted most become your worst enemy? I never thought betrayal would come from the person whose hand I held when I was scared of the dark. My brother, Daniel, was my anchor. Growing up, he was the one who shielded me from bullies, who sneaked me extra slices of cake when Mom said I'd had enough. If anyone asked, I would have sworn he was my safe place in a chaotic world. And maybe that's why what he did broke me in a way no enemy ever could. It started small, subtle, the kind of things you notice only in hindsight. When I moved back into town after college, Daniel seemed different. He was more polished, more confident, but also harder, like someone had filed down the softness in him. Still, I trusted him. He helped me settle into the spare apartment above his garage, gave me keys, said, "Family sticks together." I believed him. God, I believed him. One night, he asked if he could borrow my car. Nothing unusual, we'd shared everything our whole lives. Just for a quick errand, he said, flashing that easy smile that always disarmed me. I tossed him the keys without hesitation. The next morning, a police officer knocked on my door. My stomach dropped when he asked if I was the owner of the car parked 2 streets away. Engine still warm, abandoned with the doors unlocked. "Yes," I stammered, and before I could explain further, he pulled a plastic bag from his pocket. Inside was a necklace. Not just any necklace. One that had been reported stolen the night before from a local jeweler. I froze. My car had been used in a burglary. When Daniel came back later that day, whistling like nothing was wrong, I confronted him. "Dan, what the hell happened last night?" "The cops were here." His smile faltered. Just for a second. Then he chuckled and shook his head. "Relax, sis. They're just fishing." "You didn't say anything stupid, did you?" Something in his tone made my blood run cold. It wasn't fear, it was control. I wanted to push, to demand answers, but he reached across the table, squeezed my hand. "Don't worry. I'll take care of it." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But that night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, a sick thought wormed its way into my head. What if Daniel hadn't just borrowed my car? What if he'd used me? The following week, strange things started happening. A package arrived at my door with no return address. Inside were wads of cash wrapped in rubber bands. No note. No explanation. Just money that smelled faintly of gasoline and sweat. I stormed down to Daniel's place, holding the package like it was radioactive. "What the hell is this?" I demanded. He glanced at it, then back at me. "It's for rent. Don't ask questions. Trust me." But trust was already slipping through my fingers. 2 nights later, I woke to the sound of footsteps outside my window. When I peered through the blinds, I saw Daniel talking to a man I didn't recognize. Their voices were low, but urgent. I caught fragments. Shipment, cover, loyalty. The man handed him a small black duffel bag before disappearing into the night. Daniel stood there for a moment, staring at the bag like it held his soul. Then, slowly, he looked up straight at my window. Our eyes locked. His face, once familiar, now seemed like a mask I couldn't read. The next morning he acted normal, cracking jokes over breakfast, asking if I wanted to join him at Mum's on Sunday. But every time I blinked, I saw his silhouette under that streetlight, clutching that bag like it was worth more than blood. I started keeping my distance, quietly, checked my car twice before driving, double-locked the apartment door. But it wasn't enough, because one evening, I came home to find my door already unlocked. I froze on the threshold, heart pounding. Inside, Daniel sat on my couch, the black duffel bag at his feet. "Close the door," he said softly, not looking at me. My throat went dry. "What's going on, Daniel?" He finally raised his eyes, and I swear I didn't recognize my own brother anymore. His jaw was clenched, his pupils blown wide. "You're in this now," he whispered. "Whether you like it or not. The air went cold. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. But I couldn't move. Because in that moment, I realized something that shattered me to my core. Daniel hadn't just used me. He was making me part of whatever this was. And he wasn't asking. He was warning. I should have walked out, called the police, slammed the door in his face, and run until my lungs gave out. But blood does strange things to loyalty, and fear does even stranger. Daniel patted the couch cushion beside him. Sit down. His voice was calm, but there was steel underneath it. I didn't move. Please, he added, softer this time, like he was still the brother I knew. Reluctantly, I crossed the room, every nerve screaming at me to turn back. The duffel bag sat between us, unzipped just enough for me to see what was inside. Stacks of money, more than I'd ever seen in one place outside a bank. Where did this come from? I whispered. He leaned back, rubbing his temples. Does it matter? You're safe. We're safe. That's all you need to know. But it did matter. Everything in me screamed that this wasn't just some side hustle. It wasn't a joke or a favor. This was serious. Daniel, I said carefully, if you're involved in something. He cut me off. Don't finish that sentence. Don't even let your brain go there. His eyes burned into mine, daring me to push further. I swallowed my words. For days after, life moved like a bad dream. Daniel acted like nothing had happened, but shadows followed him everywhere. Strange cars parked too long across the street. Late-night calls that made his face tighten. A gunmetal glint I caught once in his dresser drawer when he left the door cracked. I started writing everything down in a notebook I hid under my mattress. Times, dates, snippets of conversations. A part of me told myself I was just being paranoid, but another part, the part that had seen the money and the look in Daniel's eyes, knew I might need proof someday. Then one night, I heard shouting outside my window. I crept to the blinds, heart hammering. Daniel stood in the driveway, nose to nose with another man. I couldn't make out everything, but I caught words sharp as knives. Screwing me over. Not my problem. You'll regret this. Daniel shoved the man hard, then stormed toward the house. I backed away from the window just in time to hear the front door slam. His footsteps thundered up the stairs. He barged into my apartment without knocking. His face was red, his knuckles raw. Did you see anyone? He demanded. I shook my head, throat dry. You didn't hear anything? No. He stared at me for a long time, like he could peel the truth straight off my skin. Finally, he exhaled and dropped onto my couch, head in his hands. I'm trying to fix this, he muttered. For both of us. I wanted to believe him, but then he looked up, and I saw the fear in his eyes. The same fear I felt every second now. The next morning, Mom called. She wanted us both over for dinner Sunday, her voice warm and unsuspecting. I almost laughed at the normalcy of it. Did she have any idea? Could she sense the rock growing between her children? When Sunday came, Daniel insisted we drive together. On the way, he turned the radio up too loud, drumming his fingers against the wheel. His jaw clenched and unclenched, like he was chewing on secrets. Halfway there, he said it. You can't tell Mom anything. I looked at him. I wouldn't. He cut me off. No. Listen, you can't. His grip tightened on the wheel. If you do, it won't just be me in trouble. You get that. The implication landed heavy in the pit of my stomach. We pulled up to Mum's house, and suddenly we were kids again. Mum hugged us, laughed at Daniel's jokes, made too much food like always. For a couple hours, I almost forgot. Almost. Until dessert. Daniel's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and the color drained from his face. He excused himself, stepping out onto the porch. Through the window, I saw him pacing, shoulders tense, voice low. Mum frowned. Is everything okay with him? I forced a smile. Yeah, Work stuff. But in my chest, panic bloomed. Because the man from the driveway scar on his cheek, leather jacket, was standing across the street. Watching us. I didn't tell Mom. I couldn't. My fork shook as I pretended to eat pie, my eyes darting back to that shadow on the curb. And when we left that night, Daniel whispered to me before we even reached the car. "You saw him, didn't you?" I nodded, trembling. His lips brushed my ear, his voice a razor. "Then you know. There's no turning back now." I couldn't sleep that night. Every creak of the house felt like footsteps. Every passing car light looked like someone coming to collect a debt. Daniel's words echoed in my head. There's no turning back now. What did that mean for me? For us? By morning, my nerves were frayed raw. I made coffee just to keep my hands busy. The mug rattled against the counter anyway. That's when I noticed a folded note slipped under my door. I froze. My pulse pounded as I bent down and picked it up. The handwriting wasn't Daniel's. "You don't know who you're living with. He owes. He'll drag you down too. Leave while you still can." No signature, no explanation. Just that warning. I clutched the note until the paper crumpled in my fist. My mind raced. Who left it? The man from the driveway? Someone else in whatever circle Daniel had tangled himself in? Or someone trying to save me? I hid the note inside my notebook under the mattress, then went downstairs. Daniel was in his garage, shirt off, sweat dripping as he lifted weights like he could bench press his demons away. "Morning," he said, flashing me a smile too quick, too practiced. I almost asked about the note. Almost showed it to him. But something in his eyes stopped me. If it was true, if he really was in deep, what would he do if he thought I might expose him? So I kept my mouth shut. The following days blurred into a strange routine. Daniel would vanish at odd hours, come back smelling of smoke and metal. I'd hear muffled voices in the garage, an engine starting in the night. Each time he'd remind me, "Don't worry, I've got it handled." But worry was all I had left. One evening I got home from work to find the black duffel bag on my kitchen table. My stomach twisted. Daniel walked in behind me, keys jangling in his hand. "Need a favor," he said, voice low. "What kind of favor?" I asked cautiously. He unzipped the bag, pulled out a smaller bundle wrapped in duct tape. "Hold this for me." "Just for a couple days?" I recoiled. "Daniel, I can't." "You can." His eyes hardened. "And you will. You're my sister. You think anyone's gonna search your place? You're clean. Untouchable." My throat closed. He was using me again, and this time I knew it. "I don't want any part of this," I whispered. He slammed his fist on the table, making me jump. "You're already part of it," he snapped. Then, softer. "Look, I'm protecting you, but I need you to trust me. Please." His voice cracked on that last word. And for a second I saw the brother I grew up with, the one who patched up my scraped knees, who carried me home when I twisted my ankle at the park. But then my eyes dropped back to that bundle on the table, and the illusion shattered. That night, I hid it in the back of my closet, behind old clothes I never wore. My hand shook as I did it, because if anyone found it, I wouldn't just be Daniel's sister anymore. I'd be an accomplice. A few days later, everything escalated. I was walking home from the grocery store when I noticed someone following me. A man in a dark hoodie, keeping pace half a block behind. My heart pounded as I turned down side streets, quickening my steps. He stayed with me. Finally, near my building, I spun around. "What do you want?" The man lifted his hood just enough for me to see his scar, the same one from the driveway. "You need to listen," he said, voice gravelly. "Your brother's in deep. Deeper than you can imagine. When he goes down, he's taking you with him. Unless you help us." "Help you?" My voice cracked. He leaned closer, eyes glinting. Get us what's in that bag. My stomach dropped. How did he know? Before I could answer, Daniel's car screeched around the corner. He jumped out, shoving me behind him. Back off, he growled at the man. The scarred man smirked. Tick-tock, Thompson. Clock's running out. Then he disappeared into the night, leaving my knees trembling so badly I almost collapsed. Daniel gripped my shoulders hard. Did he touch you? Did he say anything? I couldn't even speak. My silence said enough. His face darkened. You don't talk to him, ever. Do you understand? I nodded weakly, but in my chest, a different truth formed. The scarred man wasn't lying. Daniel was drowning, and now he'd pulled me under with him. That night, as I lay awake, the note under my mattress burned in my thoughts. Leave while you still can. But it was already too late. Because the bundle in my closet wasn't just duct tape and fabric. It was a ticking time bomb. The next morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled the bundle from my closet, laid it on the floor, and tore back the duct tape with trembling hands. Inside were bricks of cash. Not bills like you'd get from a bank, but stacks bound with rubber bands, stained, some edges torn. Dirty money. The kind that carries the weight of things no one talks about. My chest tightened. How much was in here? Tens of thousands? Hundreds? And more importantly, what had Daniel done to get it? I shoved it back into the closet before my panic could consume me. But the image of it burned behind my eyes all day. That evening, I found Daniel in the garage, tinkering with his car. His face lit up when he saw me, but I didn't smile back. What's in the bag, Daniel? I asked. He froze. His wrench clattered to the floor. You looked. I had to. My voice cracked. Do you realize what this means? If anyone finds it, I'm screwed. We're screwed. He stepped closer, towering over me. Don't ever go through my stuff again. Your stuff? I shot back. It's in my apartment. Do you realize how dangerous this is? His jaw clenched. For a moment, I thought he might hit something or me. But then his shoulders slumped, and his eyes softened in a way that almost broke me. I'm doing this for us, he whispered. For family. Family. That word twisted like a knife. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and swore under his breath. I've got to go. Don't touch the bag again. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with questions that ate at me like acid. That night, my paranoia reached a fever pitch. Every sound outside made me flinch. When a car slowed near the house, I ducked from the window, convinced it was someone coming for the money. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. I grabbed the bundle, stuffed it in a backpack, and left. My plan was hazy, maybe a bus station locker. Maybe throwing it in the river. Anything to get it away from me. But I didn't make it far. As I crossed the street, a black SUV screeched to a stop beside me. Two men jumped out, faces shadowed, movements sharp. Where you headed with that, sweetheart? One of them sneered, grabbing my arm. Panic surged. Let go. The other one ripped the backpack from my hand. They tore it open, cash spilling onto the pavement like a sick confetti. My heart pounded. They knew, but before they could grab me, headlights flooded the street. Daniel's car came barreling around the corner. He screeched to a stop, jumped out, and charged at them with a roar I'd never heard before. The men scattered, but not before one leaned close to me and hissed, "He can't protect you forever." Then they were gone, the SUV disappearing into the night. Daniel dropped to his knees, gathering the bills frantically. His hands shook as he stuffed them back into the bag. What were you thinking? He barked at me. I was trying to get rid of it. Tears blurred my vision. I don't want any of this, Daniel. None of it. He stood slowly, the weight of the bag heavy in his grip. His chest heaved with ragged breaths. For the first time, I saw fear, not just in me, but in him. They'll kill us. he said quietly. If you touch this again, if you cross them, they'll kill us both. His words hung in the night air like a death sentence. When we got back to the apartment, Daniel locked the bag in his room downstairs. But it didn't matter. I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. Couldn't unhear the threat whispered in my ear. Sleep was impossible. My brain spun with images, the scarred man, the SUV, Daniel's wild eyes as he fought them off, and beneath it all, one thought pulsed louder than my heartbeat. If Daniel had once been my protector, now he was the reason I needed protection. And the line between family and enemy had never been thinner. The next morning, Daniel acted like nothing had happened. He made eggs, whistled, even teased me about my bedhead. But his eyes never left mine, as if he were checking for cracks, waiting to see if I'd betray him. I couldn't eat. My stomach was a pit of acid. When he finally left, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at my hands. They wouldn't stop shaking. I had to do something. But what? Call the police? Tell Mom? Run? My mind flashed back to the scarred man's words. He'll drag you down too. By noon, I'd made up my mind. I needed answers. If Daniel wouldn't tell me the truth, I'd find it myself. I started with his garage. He kept it locked, but he wasn't as careful as he thought. He'd left the spare key under the old paint can, like always. Inside, it smelled of oil and steel. His workbench was cluttered with tools, receipts, scraps of paper. I sifted through them, my pulse hammering. That's when I found it. A burner phone, tucked behind a toolbox. My hands shook as I powered it on. Dozens of messages filled the screen. Codes, addresses, times. But one message froze my blood. Pick up tonight. Bring her if she knows too much. Her, me. My chest tightened, breath catching in my throat. He hadn't just dragged me into this. He'd offered me up as part of the deal. The sound of a door creaking made me jump. I spun around, phone clutched in my hand. Daniel stood in the doorway, his face a storm. "What are you doing?" he asked, voice low and dangerous. I stammered, I just... His gaze dropped to the phone in my hand. For a long moment, silence stretched between us. Then he stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "You weren't supposed to see that," he whispered. My back hit the workbench as he advanced. "Daniel, what does it mean?" He stopped inches away, his breath warm on my face. His jaw worked like he was chewing rocks. Finally, he said it. "They don't trust me anymore. They think I've been sloppy. And maybe I have. But they're giving me one last chance." One last chance for what? My voice cracked. His eyes flickered with something I couldn't read. To prove loyalty. It felt like the air was sucked from the room. My brother, the boy who used to scare monsters out of my closet, was considering sacrificing me to prove his loyalty to people I didn't even know. "Daniel," I whispered, tears filling my eyes. "You can't. Please, we can go to the police. We can..." He grabbed my shoulders, shaking me. "No police. Do you understand? You don't know what they'd do if I betrayed them. They'd burn everything down me, you, Mom, everyone." His grip loosened, and he stepped back, running a hand through his hair. He looked like a man unraveling thread by thread. "I don't want to hurt you," he muttered. "But if they think you're a risk, I don't know what choice I'll have." The words lodged in my chest like shards of glass. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake listening for footsteps, half expecting Daniel to come through the door. Around 3 a.m., I slipped out of bed and pulled the notebook from under my mattress. I added the message I'd seen, every detail I could remember. Then I stuffed the notebook into my backpack. If I had to run, this notebook was coming with me. But as I zipped the bag, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The door to my apartment was cracked open, and in the sliver of darkness, I could see Daniel's shadow standing perfectly still. I froze. My breath caught in my throat as that shadow lingered, unmoving, like a predator waiting for me to twitch. "Daniel?" My voice was barely a whisper. The shadow shifted, and then he stepped inside. His face was pale, drawn tight. His eyes fixed on my backpack. "What's in there?" he asked. I clutched the straps, heart pounding. "Just stuff." "Work stuff." He took another step closer. "Don't lie to me." The air between us crackled with something I couldn't name. Fear? Rage? Betrayal? Finally, I said it. "I know what you're planning." I saw the message. Silence. He blinked once, twice. Then he let out a bitter laugh. "So you really were spying on me?" "I wasn't spying," I snapped, though my voice trembled. "You left it there. You dragged me into this, Daniel. You're the one." "Stop," he barked, cutting me off. His fists clenched at his sides. "You don't understand what I'm dealing with. Then make me understand." Tears blurred my vision. "Because right now, it feels like you're choosing them over me." His expression flickered anger, guilt, something else I couldn't place. He opened his mouth, then shut it again, jaw tight. Finally, he whispered, "I don't have a choice." "Yes, you do." My voice cracked. "You could walk away. We could go to Mom, the police, anyone. But instead, you're letting them own you." His face twisted. "You think it's that simple? You think these people just let you walk?" He ran both hands through his hair, pacing like a caged animal. "You don't get it. They know everything about me. About you. If I don't play along, we're both dead." I took a shaky step toward him. "And if you do play along, what happens then, Daniel? Do I die anyway?" His eyes met mine, and for the first time, he didn't have an answer. The silence was suffocating. Then suddenly his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his face went grey. "They're outside," he whispered. My blood turned to ice. I ran to the window, pulling the curtain back just an inch. A black SUV idled across the street, headlights off, engine low and menacing. "They want me to bring you," Daniel said. His voice shook, just barely. "If I don't—" He didn't finish. My legs went weak. "You can't. Please, Daniel. Don't do this." He shut his eyes, breathing hard. His hand hovered near mine, like he wanted to reach for me, but couldn't. Then he said, "Pack a bag, quickly." "What?" "We're not meeting them." He opened his eyes, and I saw fire there. "We're running." The words barely registered. Running? From them? From all of it? My hands fumbled as I stuffed clothes into my backpack, my notebook wedged between jeans and sweaters. My heart hammered so loud it drowned out thought. Daniel grabbed the black duffel bag, of course he did, and slung it over his shoulder. His jaw was set, his movements sharp. "We have to go now," he hissed. We crept down the stairs, every creak of the wood like a gunshot. My pulse roared in my ears. When we stepped outside, the SUV's door opened. A figure emerged, the scarred man. His smile gleamed under the streetlight. "Going somewhere," he called, voice mocking. Daniel shoved me toward his car. "Get in." The scarred man's smile widened as more figures spilled from the SUV. Shadows moving fast. Too fast. Daniel roared the engine to life as I scrambled inside, slamming the door shut. Tires screeched. The SUV followed instantly, headlights blinding in the rearview. The night became a blur of speed, alleys, and adrenaline. My nails dug into the seatbelt as Daniel swerved through red lights, cursing under his breath. "Daniel, hold on," he barked, spinning the wheel hard. The SUV stayed close, too close, like a shadow we couldn't shake. And in that moment, one thought tore through my panic, clear as day. Whether he was saving me or damning me, my brother had just made us both fugitives. The city blurred past us in streaks of neon and concrete, but the SUV clung to us like a predator locked on its prey. Every turn we made, they matched. Every alley, every desperate maneuver. They stayed right there. Daniel, we're not going to lose them. I cried, clutching the seat as the car fishtailed. Shut up and trust me, he shouted back, eyes wild. His knuckles glowed white against the wheel, but I didn't trust him not anymore. Not after everything. He cut the headlights and veered sharply onto a narrow side street. The tires screamed against asphalt. For a moment, I thought we'd lost them. But then, in the rearview mirror, those headlights flared back to life. Closer. Daniel! I see them. Up ahead, a construction site loomed, scaffolding, cones, half-paved road. Daniel didn't slow. He plowed through the barricade. Sparks flying as the car scraped against metal. The SUV tried to follow but clipped a steel beam. The screech of tearing metal filled the night. Hold on. Daniel growled, wrenching the wheel again. We burst out the other side, leaving the SUV tangled in the debris. At least for now. My chest heaved, adrenaline flooding every vein. Where are we going? Daniel's jaw worked as he gritted his teeth. Somewhere they won't look. We just need time to think. Time to think? My voice broke. Daniel, they were about to take me. They know everything about us. There's no running from this. He slammed his fist against the steering wheel. You think I don't know that? The car fell silent except for our ragged breathing. Then, softer, he said, I wasn't supposed to drag you into this. I thought I could handle it myself. But I messed up. The confession landed heavy in the air. Then tell me the truth, I whispered. What is this, Daniel? Who are these people? His hands trembled on the wheel. Finally, he said, they're not just dealers, not just thugs. They're bigger, organized. The kind of people you don't cross. I thought I could skim off them, pay off debts with their own cash, buy us a future. But they found out, and now they want blood. My stomach lurched. So you put me in the middle of it? His voice cracked. I thought if they saw you, if they saw I had something to lose, they'd back off. Instead, they saw leverage. I stared at him, betrayal burning hotter than fear. You used me. He flinched, like the words were a slap. I was trying to protect you. In my own way. Protect me? My laugh was sharp, bitter. By offering me up as collateral? He opened his mouth, then shut it, unable to answer. Silence stretched, suffocating. Finally, he pulled the car onto a deserted stretch of highway. The kind where streetlights burn out, and no one bothers to fix them. He killed the engine. Darkness swallowed us whole. We can't go home, he said quietly. We can't go to Mom's. They'll be watching. Then what? My voice trembled. We just run forever. Daniel stared out the windshield, his face hard as stone. We don't run. We hit back. My blood went cold. What do you mean? He turned to me, eyes blazing with something fierce, something terrifying. I know where they keep their cash. Their shipments. We take it. Burn it if we have to. Make them hurt. It's the only way to make them back off. I shook my head in disbelief. That's insane. They'll kill us. They'll kill us anyway. He shot back. This way, at least we choose how it ends. For a moment, all I could do was stare at him. My brother, the boy who once cried when he accidentally broke my favorite toy, was now talking about war. And the worst part, the way his voice shook told me he'd already made up his mind. I thought he was bluffing. I thought maybe the adrenaline, the fear, the endless running had scrambled his brain. But as Daniel laid out his plan in the darkened car, I realized he wasn't bluffing at all. He had it all mapped out, where they stored shipments, which warehouse had the weakest security, what nights the guards rotated. He'd been planning this for weeks, maybe months. You've been stealing from them already, haven't you? I whispered. His silence was answer enough. I pressed my hands into my face. Daniel, this isn't just stupid, it's suicide. You're not Batman. You're not going to take down the mob with a wrench and a plan scribbled on a napkin. He grabbed my wrist, pulling my hands down. His grip was tight, almost desperate. Listen to me. If we don't act, they'll never stop hunting us. They'll take everything. Mum, you, me, everyone we love. The only way is to hit them back harder than they expect. My chest ached. He really believed this. Maybe he had to. Daniel, my voice broke. You're not the brother I grew up with. You're not. I'm still him. He snapped, his voice shaking. The one who carried you home when you sprained your ankle. The one who punched that kid in the mouth for calling you names. I've always protected you. And I'm protecting you now, even if you can't see it. I wanted to scream that protecting me didn't mean turning me into bait. That love wasn't supposed to feel like chains. But his face looked so wrecked, like he was already halfway gone. Before I could speak, headlights appeared in the rear view. A car, slow, creeping closer. My pulse spiked. They found us, I whispered. Daniel's jaw clenched. Stay down. He restarted the engine, slamming it into gear. The car roared to life, but the vehicle behind us matched speed, then flashed its high beams. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Not them. How do you know? Because if it was them, we'd already be dead. The car pulled up alongside us, window rolling down. A woman leaned out, face hidden by a hood. She shouted something over the roar of engines. Daniel lowered his window. Who the hell are you? Her voice cut sharp through the night. A friend. If you want to live, follow me. Then she sped ahead, taillights vanishing into the distance. I stared after her, heart in my throat. We can't. What if it's a trap? Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. Everything's a trap. Question is, whose is worse? The black SUV hadn't reappeared, but every nerve in me screamed we didn't have long. Daniel floored it, chasing the hooded stranger's taillights into the dark. We followed her through back roads, past empty fields, until she finally slowed near an abandoned gas station. She pulled into the shadows, killed her lights. Daniel parked a few yards away, his hand hovering near the glove box like he had something hidden there. The woman stepped out slowly, hands raised. I'm not with them, she said. I've been watching, and I know what they'll do if you don't make a move soon. Daniel squinted at her. Then tell me something only an enemy wouldn't know. She tugged her hood down, revealing a scar across her jaw. My stomach dropped. It wasn't the same scar as the man from before. But it was a scar all the same. A marker. I used to run for them, she said flatly, until I got tired of being their pawn. I know where they keep the ledgers, the cash, the names. You want a way out? I can give it to you. But once you step in, there's no going back. Daniel looked at me, his eyes searching mine like he wanted permission. Like my answer mattered, that all I could think was that this stranger knew more about my brother than I ever wanted to. And the choice run, fight, or trust her, was about to change everything. The night air clung heavy against my skin as I stared at this woman, this stranger who claimed she'd once worked for the same people now hunting us. Daniel broke the silence first. If you've got proof, show it. The woman's lips curled into something between a smirk and a grimace. She reached into her jacket slowly, deliberately, then tossed a small black notebook onto the hood of Daniel's car. Ledger, she said simply. Daniel grabbed it and flipped it open under the dim glow of the dashboard light. His eyes widened. Columns of names, dates, numbers, shipments. It was all there. This is everything, he muttered, voice almost reverent. My stomach twisted. Daniel, don't. This is a setup. It has to be. The woman stepped closer, her scar catching the faint light. If I wanted you dead, they'd already be scraping your bodies off the pavement. I'm giving you a chance. Take it or leave it. Daniel looked at me, his jaw set. With this, we could shut them down. Expose everything. The cops wouldn't be able to ignore it. I grabbed his arm. And then what? You think the police can protect us from them? They'll come harder. They'll come for Mom. For everyone. His eyes darkened. They're already coming. At least this way, we hit back. The woman cut in. You've got less time than you think. They know you're running. They'll make an example of you. She looked at me then, her gaze sharp, especially her. A chill ripped through me. Daniel closed the notebook, knuckles white around it. Where's their base? My chest tightened. Daniel, no! But the woman's smirk deepened. Warehouse by the docks. They rotate guards at 2:00 You've got one shot. Daniel slid the notebook into his jacket. Decision already carved into his face. Then that's where we're going. I grabbed his wrist, desperation clawing my throat. You can't keep dragging me into this. Don't you see what you're doing? You're turning into them. For a moment, his mask slipped. Pain flickered across his face. I'm doing this because of you. Because if I don't, they'll take you anyway. At least this way, I get to choose how it ends. My voice broke. And what if it ends with me dead? What if it ends with both of us in a ditch? His silence was answer enough. The woman leaned against her car, arms crossed. Decide quick. You don't have long before their dogs sniff you out. Daniel turned the key in the ignition, the engine rumbling back to life. His eyes stayed fixed on the dark horizon. The docks that waited like a trap in the distance. Get in or don't, he said quietly. But I'm not running anymore. Tears blurred my vision. My brother, the person I trusted most, was barreling toward a war neither of us could win. And as the car rolled forward into the night, I realized something that hollowed me out completely. It wasn't just the enemy outside that terrified me. It was the enemy Daniel had become. The docks at night were a graveyard. Rusted cranes loomed like skeletal arms. The water below, black and endless. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, to run until my legs gave out. But Daniel drove straight into the darkness, his jaw clenched, his hands steady in a way that chilled me. The woman with the scar followed behind in her car. Headlights off. A silent shadow trailing us. When we reached the warehouse, Daniel killed the engine and turned to me. Stay here. No, I whispered. My voice cracked. If you go in there, you won't come back. His eyes softened, but only for a moment. Then neither of us will. He opened the door before I could argue. The duffel bag slung over his shoulder. The stolen ledger tucked inside his jacket. I scrambled out after him, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might split my ribs. The woman caught up, pulling something from her trunk, a pistol. She handed it to Daniel like it was nothing, like it was just another tool. I stared, horrified. You can't be serious. Daniel didn't even flinch. He checked the chamber with practiced ease. I told you. They won't stop unless we make them. We crept around the side of the warehouse. Through the dirty windows I saw men inside armed, pacing, their voices carrying faintly through the night. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was unmistakable. Dangerous. The woman whispered, Ledger proves everything. If we can get it to the right hands, they're finished. And if they catch us first? I asked, my voice shaking. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Daniel crouched by the side door, muscles tense. He looked at me one last time. Trust me. But I didn't, not anymore. Still, I followed. The door creaked open. We slipped inside, shadows swallowing us whole. The air reeked of oil and salt. Stacks of crates towered over us, marked with codes I didn't understand. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Close. Daniel pressed me against a crate, finger to his lips. My heart hammered as a guard passed by, flashlight beam slicing through the dark. When he turned the corner, Daniel moved silent, precise. One strike to the back of the head, and the man crumpled. I clapped a hand over my mouth, bile rising. Daniel dragged the body into the shadows, his face unreadable. He wasn't my brother anymore. Not really. We moved deeper inside, weaving between crates. The woman led us toward an office at the far end of the warehouse. She pointed to the door. That's where they keep the ledgers, the backups, everything. Daniel nodded. Then that's where we go. But before we could move, voices echoed behind us. Multiple men, getting closer. Panic surged. We ducked behind crates, pressing into the shadows. Through the gaps, I saw them 5 men, armed, laughing like they owned the night. One of them was the scarred man, the same one who'd warned me. My blood froze. He stopped suddenly, scanning the room like a wolf sniffing prey. His voice cut sharp and low. She's here. I can feel it. Daniel tensed beside me, his grip tightening on the pistol. I wanted to scream, to beg him not to move, not to do this. But it was too late, because the scarred man was already turning, and his eyes landed right on me. His eyes locked on mine like a spotlight cutting through darkness. A slow smile spread across his scarred face, cruel and knowing. There you are, he said, voice dripping with triumph. Daniel leapt out from cover before I could react. The pistol roared, the sound deafening in the cavernous warehouse. One of the men dropped instantly. The others shouted, scrambling for cover. Run, Daniel barked at me, but my legs wouldn't move. My body froze as chaos erupted gunfire. Shouts, the echo of boots on concrete. The woman grabbed my arm, yanking me toward the office door. This way, she hissed. I stumbled after her, heart pounding, ears ringing. Behind us, Daniel fired again, his shouts drowned out by the thunder of return fire. The office door slammed shut behind us. The woman shoved a desk against it, breathing hard. Help me, I pushed with her, adrenaline lending me strength I didn't know I had. The door shook as fists pounded on the other side. The woman darted to a filing cabinet, rifling through drawers with frantic precision. We need the original's names, accounts, shipments. Without them, the ledger's useless. Papers fluttered to the ground as she yanked files free. My hands trembled as I tried to help, shoving folders into my backpack. The door rattled harder. A voice shouted, "You can't hide, little girl." My blood ran cold, then silence. I froze, listening. No pounding, no shouting. Just silence. The woman's eyes flicked to mine. That's not good. A second later, the door exploded inward. The desk skidded across the floor as the scarred man strode in, gun raised, grin wide. End of the line, he said. I stumbled back, hitting the wall. My lungs seized, panic choking me. But then another shot. Deafening. The scarred man jerked forward, eyes wide, blood blooming across his chest. He collapsed in a heap. Behind him stood Daniel, face pale, gun smoking in his hand. His chest heaved, eyes darting between me and the body on the floor. You okay? He panted. I couldn't answer. I couldn't even breathe. The woman didn't waste a second. She stuffed the last of the files into my backpack and hissed. We need to move. Now. We bolted out the back, weaving through crates and shadows. The sound of sirens in the distance cut through the chaos. Daniel cursed. They called the cops. The woman's voice was sharp. Good. Let them clean this mess up. No, Daniel snapped. You don't get it. They own half the cops in this city. If we hand this over now, we're dead before sunrise. We burst out a side door into the night, the salty air of the docks slamming against my face. Daniel's car sat waiting, engine still running. We piled in, Daniel behind the wheel, the woman and I in the back. As he sped away, I clutched the backpack to my chest, the weight of the files pressing into my ribs like a second heartbeat. But all I could think about was the look on Daniel's face when he pulled that trigger. No hesitation. No doubt. The brother I once trusted was gone, and in his place was someone I wasn't sure I could ever forgive. The city lights blurred past as Daniel drove, his face a mask of grim determination. The woman sat beside me, rifling through the stolen files with calm efficiency, as if we hadn't just left a corpse bleeding on the warehouse floor. I clutched the backpack tighter, every bump in the road rattling through my bones. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Daniel finally spoke, his voice hoarse. "We've got enough to bury them. Accounts, shipments, names. They can't hide from this." The woman didn't look up. "If you survive long enough to hand it over." Her bluntness made bile rise in my throat. "What do we do now?" I asked, my voice small. She met my eyes. "We disappear. You two don't go home. Don't call your mother. You find a safe contact someone outside their reach. Maybe federal. You hand them this, and you pray." Daniel gritted his teeth. "We don't pray. We fight," I snapped. "Fight? Daniel, you just killed a man. Do you even realize what you've done?" His knuckles tightened around the wheel. I realized the second I pulled the trigger. And I'd do it again. "For you. For me?" My voice broke, tears stinging my eyes. "Don't you dare put this on me. I never asked for this. I never wanted this. You dragged me into your mess, and now I'm drowning in it." The car went quiet, except for the roar of the engine. Daniel's jaw flexed, but he didn't respond. The woman glanced between us, then sighed. "He's right about one thing, you're in this, whether you wanted it or not. But if you want any chance of a normal life again, you've got to let go of him." Her words hit like a slap. I turned toward Daniel, but he didn't flinch. He kept driving, eyes fixed on the road ahead, as if he'd already accepted it. Minutes stretched into hours. Finally, the woman directed us to a motel off the highway, a forgotten place with flickering neon and peeling paint. We checked in under fake names, paying cash. In the room, Daniel spread the files across the bed. "We deliver this, we end them." I shook my head. "No, you end them." "I'm done." He looked up, his eyes hollow. "You can't just walk away." "Yes, I can." My voice trembled, but I forced the words out. "Because if I don't, I'll lose what's left of myself. I'll lose the part of me that remembers the brother who used to protect me instead of putting a target on my back." For the first time in days, Daniel looked broken. Really broken. His lips parted, like he wanted to argue, but nothing came out. He just sat there, shoulders slumped, drowning in the weight of his choices. The woman handed me a slip of paper. "Contact. Federal agent. Trustworthy. If you're smart, you'll go to him tomorrow. Leave your brother to his war." I clutched the paper, my chest tight. That night, I couldn't sleep. I watched Daniel hunched over the files, his silhouette bathed in the glow of the desk lamp. He looked older, harder, like the boy I once loved as my protector had been erased entirely. At dawn, I packed my things. My notebook, the files I'd copied while he wasn't looking, the slip of paper with the agent's name. Daniel stirred as I reached the door. "Where are you going?" His voice cracked. I turned, tears blurring my vision. "To save myself." His face crumpled, a mixture of pain and pride. He didn't stop me. He just nodded, as if he'd known this moment was coming. I stepped out into the pale morning light, the air sharp in my lungs. For the first time in weeks, I felt the faintest flicker of freedom. But as I walked away from that motel, one truth cut deeper than all the rest. The person I trusted most had become the reason I could never trust again. That was the day my brother stopped being my protector and became my worst enemy.